And we're back. Okay, in this video, we're going to write the script, write the code logic that will change out the image used by our GUI texture depending upon how many of our targets are still left that have not been hit yet. So we need a couple of things. We need to connect all of our targets so that we can switch them out. That'll be external variables that we can connect images to. We need a switch statement that goes in and looks at some variable that keeps track of how many targets are still on the screen and actually sets that image. We also need to have a variable that can be changed from another script, because we're going to have to change that counter on how many targets that are still there present in the game through an action. And the best place to do that is in the code where we actually have the collision between the projectile and the target. So we're going to need to, in that script eventually, write a line that says go over to this script that we're going to create now and change the value of that variable. And to do that, we're going to use a special kind of variable. We'll get to that, and we'll get to all the rest of this, right now. So let's go. So we're going to first come into the Create menu, create a new script. There it is. And we're going to call this script Targets Remaining. And there it is. We can double click on it. And the editor opens. And let's find it. There it is. Of course, it's just the update function and nothing else. So we're going to come in here and create that special variable we were talking about. And it's a static variable. We're going to call this int targets remaining. And we're going to make it an integer, of course. And we're going to give it an initial value of 12, because that's how many targets we have. And now we need some more variables out here. We need variables for our images. So img target underscore 00. And this variable type is a texture 2D, capital D. And that's the first one. And here's our whole script. Okay. So we've got all of these case statements here, depending upon what the value of that targets remaining is, determine what image gets set. We've got our switch that uses it, our GUI texture, and just goes between the different images. We've got all our external variables up here that we're going to connect our images to. And we've got this variable here at the top. And let's take a second and talk about this. Okay, this script, this static int targets remaining variable, this is static so that we can get to it and reference it from another script. And we talked about that. Now, some of the scripts that we've created a script and then attached it to a bunch of different targets and whatnot. You really can't do that with something like this, because then you'd have umpteen copies of this int targets remaining variable all attached to different versions of the targets remaining script that were all out there in the game. So if you tried to reference it from somewhere else, it would be a problem. Now, there are ways to deal with things like this, kind of exotic ways we can get to eventually, not right now. You don't need that complication. Just know that when you create a script that you want to reference a variable from somewhere outside, this is kind of the easiest way to do it. You're going to just have one copy of this targets remaining script, which we're going to attach to this GUI texture object. We're going to have the variable. There's only one of these out there, so when we reference it from somewhere else, we know what it is. The way you do that is by making it a static variable. Some people call this a global variable, and other people flame them saying, no, it's not a global variable, and blah, 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 and get in all kinds of food fights about that stuff. You know, you have to decide how much of your life you want to spend being involved in those kind of battles, and I think it comes through my sort of editorial feeling on that, maybe a little bit. But here it is. We've got our static variable. We can reference this, and the way you're going to reference it is by using the script name dot the variable name, and we'll see that soon. But other than that, this is pretty straightforward. We've got these external texture 2Ds that we're going to connect textures to. We've got this variable that's going to change values over time, and depending upon what the value is, that's going to determine which image we're going to show in this GUI texture, and that'll let us have our different images that convey information through that heads-up display. So this is kind of a variation of that animated target thing that we did, and it does have images of the target, so I guess it's kind of appropriate. Okay, so I've been kind of gassing on about this for a while, and we've had more than enough of that, so let's get on and finish this off here. So we're just going to save it and close it, and there it is. And if we click on it, there's our script, and we come down to the bottom, and here's our references for all the different variables. See, it's attached to none, so we've got to change that. Come up to our targets in the GUI elements directory, and just start dragging them over. Nothing we haven't done before. There's a total of 13, 0, and 1 through 12. So we'll just do it. And this will just take a second here. Okay, almost done. And there we go. All connected, all happy, everything's good, all in the right order. So now let's just save this. And now we're going to come in, and what we need to do is take this script and attach it to our targets 12. So we'll scroll down to the targets remaining script. Just attach it to that GUI texture. So select this. There it is. Targets remaining. All the targets are attached. Looks good. Looks fine. And we'll save it one more time. This would actually now be able to change our targets or change our images so that we would get real information out of our heads-up display GUI texture if we had a way of changing that variable when the targets were actually hit. So I guess you know what we're going to get to, or what we still have left to get to before this is functional. So we're going to end this video here, and we'll see you in the next one.